In the UK, health issues are rising. Diabetes has hit 5 million cases for the first time. Heart disease cases and premature deaths have increased for 3 years in a row. Mental health issues are sky high, with a reported 1 in 4 likely to suffer each year. And infertility has continued to increase for the last 60 years. So yes, health issues are rising every year. And if you haven't suffered from one, I'm sure you know someone who has. But maybe the most harrowing of all is cancer. According to the NHS, 1 in 2 people in the UK will get cancer in their lifetime. So in other words, within a family of 4, 2 of you are statistically going to get cancer at some point. Our bodies are trying to tell us something and we're not listening. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you how you can listen. And I'm also going to share with you a close friend's cancer story and how together we helped him take control of his health and healing by optimizing his diet and lifestyle for metabolic health. That way he could listen to his body and provide it exactly what it needed. Hi, my name is Charles Moore and I'm the co-founder of The Cancer Conversation. Over the last 27 years, I've invested $250,000 and thousands of hours to get training and access to information to be able to see the big picture. And I've been using this knowledge to help countless people, from the sick to high performers worldwide, to regain control of their health, healing, and mindset. Okay, let me ask a quick question. If your body can't complete its most primal functioning and purpose and reproduce, what is our body trying to tell us? It's not right, is it? But I know you know something isn't right, because you're here reading this or listening to this, and I commend you, because a lot of people just go along ignoring the signs until it's too late. My good friend Mark was one of those people. But after being confronted with cancer in 2020, he chose to make changes and take control of his health and healing. And together, we did. Mark and I met over 20 years ago on a training course in the US. And despite being from different sides of the Atlantic, we hit it off immediately. And we became close friends. And we've stayed in contact ever since. In fact, he's one of a few people I'd actually call a close friend. So when Mark unexpectedly shared with me that he'd been diagnosed with cancer, I was, like most people when they hear this type of news, completely taken aback. And I immediately assumed the worst. I didn't want to lose my friend, and I just refused to let it happen. Mark would undergo a grueling journey through multiple bouts of chemotherapy and extensive radiation treatments. But unlike many people who follow conventional cancer treatments, he wouldn't be beaten. He ultimately took control of his health and healing and got his life back, and a whole lot more. And I'm going to share with you just how he did this. But first, here's Mark to tell you his story.
So around September to October 2020, I noticed blood in my urine. I was shocked, in denial, and I kind of just hoped it would go away. So foolishly, I left it. In some ways, I wasn't surprised. I knew I hadn't been taking care of myself and that I'd been exposed to environments that could leave me susceptible to cancer later in life. But with your own blood looking back at you, it brings you back to reality and it reminds you of the fragility of life. And to be completely honest with you, I didn't know what to do, so I did nothing. A few weeks later, my partner, Maureen, spotted splashes of my blood in the toilet, and she too was shocked. At first, she didn't know where they'd come from. So she asked me if I knew. And well, I couldn't hide it. So I told her. Her reaction has stuck with me. She immediately took me to the closest emergency department. And it didn't take long for them to confirm our fears. I had cancer. Bladder cancer, in fact. And because I lived in a remote part of the US, and my local hospital wasn't the best equipped, they recommended I visit another one further away for more scans and checks. We did, and the news got worse. Ultimately, I was diagnosed with 2 types of bladder cancer. One was urothelial, and the other was a small cell carcinoma. And after realizing the small cell carcinoma was more aggressive, The hospital decided to do further tests and scans, and this time they found 2 lesions on my brain. My doctor sat me down and told me quite frankly that if I do nothing, I'll be dead in 2 years. It was the wake-up call I needed. Because like many cancer sufferers, I hadn't been living in a way that was conducive to my health, and I had to do something about it. Just then, I had no idea what. Long before my diagnosis, I had lived in New York, and in all honesty, it was making me feel unwell. The noise, the stimulation, the fumes. So Maureen and I decided to move to a more remote part of the US, the same one where we live now. On the one hand, I think it helped my health because the environment is much cleaner. But on the other, it made trips to specialized hospitals and treatment centers a lot harder. And if it wasn't for Maureen and her tireless support, I wouldn't have been able to make those intense trips. It was a lot of effort on her behalf, my whole battle. And as treatments progressed and side effects worsened, it would only demand more from her. As part of my fight against cancer, I joined many people and underwent conventional treatment. This included multiple bouts of chemotherapy and radiation on my brain. And after the second bout of radiation, I began to lose all my hair. You only realize the purpose of your eyebrows and eyelashes when you don't have them anymore. It really sucked the life out of me. And I went through the same side effects of chemo that everyone else seems to. In fact, after 6 months of immunotherapy, I opted for a vaccination, and within 10 days, my liver developed autoimmune hepatitis, only making my battle even harder. So, like many, my battle was difficult, and I really suffered. Chemo made me weak, lightheaded, and forever tired. And I lost around 45 pounds in weight and all my strength and balance too. I was still trying to work when I could, and the people I was coaching would later share with me how worried they become, because every week I seemed to just degrade further and further. But I had bills to pay, and I wasn't in a position to stop work completely. Maureen did an unbelievable amount for me in this time. I can only imagine what she was thinking and feeling as she watched my body change to such scary lows. And she stuck with me. And I have no doubt that without her, I wouldn't have been able to follow the changes that ultimately brought me to where I am today.
As you can see, Mark is here alive and well, and he's looking healthier than ever. So what changes did Mark make? Well, this is where I came in and used the knowledge, training and experience that I've accrued over the last 25 years. And together, we put Mark back in control of his health and healing. Fortunately, he already had one side of the health and healing triangle under his control. I'll let him share how and why.
Before I was diagnosed with cancer, I already spent 40 plus years training my brain in what's known as state management. You see, I've been a certified hypnotherapist since 1980, and I'm one of the few select master trainers in a very powerful model that makes it easy to make lasting changes in your life. Alongside this, I've been an avid meditator and continue to run a successful business teaching others how to become hypnotherapists like me. So whereas many people feel they're living with a ticking time bomb, I processed my diagnosis quickly and returned to a sense of control over my mindset and headspace. However, with my diet and lifestyle, I did not have control. And like many people with cancer, I knew I wasn't taking great care of myself. This is where Charles helped.
So Mark knows the abilities and nuances of the mind, inside and out. And he has a real talent to teach others the same thing. And it was on this journey, in fact, that our paths crossed some 20 years earlier. Because I'm also a trained hypnotherapist, and I've been using these skills alongside many others to help people transform their lives. Anyway, Mark's cognitive abilities and how he taught himself to deal with stressful situations were extremely conducive to his health and healing, as he didn't want to add any more stress and pressure to an already challenging situation. But Mark won't deny that his diet and lifestyle look very different today than they did 10 years ago. And he also won't deny that he thinks his diet and lifestyle changes played an important role in getting him to bounce back higher than before. These are the other sides of the healing and health triangle. Mark understood he needed to make changes, and he would eventually understand why, that he felt those changes helped him so much. And once the side effects of the treatments began to wear off, the full rewards of these changes began to reveal themselves. Let me explain. When you hear the word metabolism, what comes to mind? Weight? A fast metabolism? A slow one? These associations are somewhat correct because your metabolism does play a role in managing your body weight. But if we look at it in more detail, your metabolism is the conversion process of turning food energy into human energy. Or in other words, it's this food energy that fuels all the chemical reactions happening inside your body every second. Your thoughts, your feelings, the words you say, the movements you make, and most importantly, your health. Because it makes sense, right? What you put into your body, how you treat it, and how you relate to yourself will naturally affect how your body performs. So with that in mind, what do you think good metabolic health means? Any ideas? Well, quite simply, good metabolic health is the ability to convert food energy to human energy more efficiently. And poor metabolic health is the opposite. In fact, poor metabolic health suggests that cells are underpowered. They can't take everything they need from the food energy you're providing. So an underpowered cell becomes a dysfunctional cell, and a dysfunctional cell will produce symptoms. And with trillions of cells inside your body, when they don't work like they should, you will notice and your body will tell you. Look, our body is always talking to us. Think about this, for example. After eating lots of sweets, chocolate or junk food, how do you feel? And then how about after you exercise or get a great night's sleep? Are they the same feelings? Or is your body telling you something different? So ultimately, it comes down to whether you choose to listen to your body. Because if you do, you can better understand what it needs and then provide it. But this is where it gets interesting. If we look a bit closer at these cells, we find the powerhouse of these cells is known as the mitochondria. Mitochondria, aside from being taught in school these days, produce your body's ATP, the cell's source of energy. And scientists are now beginning to discover the links between the mitochondria, in particular dysfunctional mitochondria, and chronic diseases and deficiencies. You see, when a cell can't do its job, like absorbing what it needs, it initiates a process called the cell danger response. And the goal of this response is simple: to protect the cell, and thus us, from harm. So when the cell danger response is initiated, inflammation and oxidative stress present themselves. Oxidative stress then leads to more cell damage, and it's well documented in playing roles in many, many conditions like Alzheimer's disease, heart disease, and most importantly, cancer. Despite what people say, cancer, like many other diseases and deficiencies, isn't spontaneous. It doesn't just come out of nowhere, and you can't catch it like a cold either. Instead, it's something you create within your body. This alone is a positive mindset shift that helps create a healthier way of thinking for your health and recovery. And together with Mark, we made completely natural and safe changes to his diet and lifestyle. Changes that favored Mark's metabolic health and put him on an upward energy trajectory. So he didn't just have enough energy to get through the day, but enough energy to help him heal. And ultimately, this put him back in the driver's seat of his health and healing. Because as you saw, Mark is alive and well. He's 73 and now stronger than many of his friends who are 20 years younger than him. And in fact, he still works and teaches others using his amazing talents. He tells me, and he'll tell you, that he's cognitively sharper than he was before his diagnosis. Mark went through hell and back and came out better than ever, and is now approaching his 5th year of remission. And together alongside Mark, I want to share the information we use to transform his life. In fact, we've combined our nearly 70 years of experience in helping people from all walks of life and put it into 2 simple, easy to action 12-week plans. One plan takes you through diet and lifestyle changes, which I'm here to support you through.
And the other plan takes you through mindset changes, which I'm here to support you through.
So you can take control of your health and healing, not just for your future self, but for all those who care about you too. Because if you can't do it for yourself, you can do it for them, right? You can learn more about Mark's story and the changes he made and the information he used by reading the page below. Thanks for watching and listening, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.